Old Town Road, just like the song. We'll take my ruck down the Old Town Road.
I will be rucking across the Buckeye State in support of All American Rucks, a nonprofit supporting local veterans through their Liberty March in the month of July. I'll be following the towpath route, which is fairly simple. It starts when you dip your toes in Lake Erie and ends when you dip your toes in the Ohio River. Everything in between is up to me. So let's get into it.
In Ashtabula, we're hopping on the Western Reserve Greenway Trail, which is a rail trail. We can take this about 45 miles till we get to Warren. We'll pretty much take this the entire way. Should make navigating pretty easy. When I first originally came up with the idea to cross Ohio on foot, I was initially thinking I was going to run across the entire state. That was kind of my plan, to just do a run. And the more I thought about it, and the more I realized how that would work out logistically with no aid stations, no support crew, no film crew, doing it all on my own. Looking at the amount of stuff I just need to carry with me, even not camping. Like now I'm not camping out on the way. I saw quickly it was turning into a ruck. And I saw the opportunity to support All American Rucks with the Liberty March. Seemed like a perfect opportunity to ruck across the state and support an organization that's helping our veterans in Northeast Ohio. So I also get a lot of questions about the footwear that I have. Rucking in sandals. Most people don't ruck in sandals. In the military, we always rucked in boots, our normal boots that we would wear, but there's one big advantage to sandals, even though you lose cushioning that you have with running shoes and things like that, is they keep your feet dry. They allow your feet to air out and stay dry. And even in the military, rucking in boots, that was one of the biggest things. You always had to make sure you were taking care of your feet and your guys were taking care of your feet, switching out socks, because once your feet get wet, they start to really fall apart. And on a longer ruck or movement like this, taking care of your feet is essential when you're doing 40, 50 miles a day over multiple days. If your feet get tore up, you're not going to make it. So it actually keeps my feet dry, and they're well conditioned to wearing sandals, so it works pretty well. You know, let's not forget that the Romans conquered most of the known world, rucking across Europe and parts of Asia wearing sandals. So it can be done. It has been done for a long time. You know, the Romans were no physiologically different than we are today. Just had much harder lives that they had to go through. But the sandals are a viable footwear for that. With that being said, you know, the typical Roman legion would move up to 20 miles a day. So here we're moving more than double that, with close to 50 miles a day. So I do have a rotation of shoes. I've got my sandals. Wearing sandals with no cushion puts more stress on your plantar fascia and your Achilles tendon and calves and things like that. So when my feet feel like that they're kind of spent and work too hard that way, or if the sandals happen to start rubbing or something like that, I've got socks and tennis shoes I can switch into, and then I can rotate back and forth, because going long distance with tennis shoes, you know, you can start to lose toenails as your feet swell, your toes get uncomfortable, they get wet from sweating. Throw the sandals back on, everything airs out and has room to breathe and expand. So we're going 2.5 times what a typical Roman legion did in a day. I think it's justified to switch footwear as needed. It's all about as needed. Kind of got to go by feel here, depending on how my body responds and what I need to do to just be able to keep my body together, my feet together, keep moving towards the Ohio River, crossing the state. You know, it's kind of interesting, more than just about 100-mile movement. We're really crossing from one watershed to another major watershed. Have a pretty large amount of historical significance. You have the Great Lakes watershed where we started at in Lake Erie, where you could pretty much explore and reach anywhere in the Northwest Territories, traveling along the Great Lakes there. Once we get down to the Ohio River system, that really ties into America's westward expansion. You can follow the Ohio River all the way down to the Mississippi, take it down to the Gulf if you wanted to, or once you reach the Mississippi, you could go up the Missouri River, same way Lewis and Clark did, and head to the Rocky Mountains. The way our inland waterways and rivers are structured is really made for exploration. That's why if you look at the history of Ohio and how it was shaped, before these two waterways were connected, people had to travel on foot or horseback, and it was generally pretty dangerous. It was territory controlled by the Indians, and it was hard to get across from the Great Lakes down to the Ohio River Valley. You see in the early 1800s the importance of the Ohio and Erie Canal to connect those two waterways. It was in the early 1800s, early to mid 1800s, the Ohio and Erie Canal. And that wasn't really fast either. They only went about, I don't even think, 40 miles a day. They were on boats, not speedboats, they were on boats being dragged by mules along the towpath, the Ohio and Erie Canal. Canals were in operation till they were replaced by the railroads. And the railroads, people traveled along those until those were mostly replaced by our highway system and our road system through the state. And it's kind of interesting, this trip here is almost following history in reverse, kind of. Going back to the earliest ways people crossed the state, following, for a large portion of the route, an old rail trail. So it's the railroads were here, they came, and they left. And a lot of the industry that built this region, this portion of the country, has left as well. It's kind of almost come in full circle. It'll never be, you know, it's permanently changed forever with settlement. It'll never be like it was in the 1700s, but neither will anything else. But it's neat to see you have all the industry that came and went, and all of these species of animals that were once common in the state and then for a time were scarce or non-existent, whether you're talking white-tailed deer or bald eagles. Now they're commonly seen again through this same area. So kind of neat to see it come around full circle in a way. And the mosquitoes weren't too bad earlier this morning. Seems like now that we're getting to mid-late morning, they're really coming out pretty thick. This morning was pretty nice and comfortable before it got hot. But I guess the mosquitoes were still asleep. About 8:30 they're coming out thick, so hopefully as the heat of the day comes out they'll eventually go away. Oh, look at this here. Looks like maybe some sort of grain silo or old water tank. Definitely been abandoned to time. Got another old apple tree over here, and actually first bear sighting we've had here in Ohio today. Mama bear and her cubs just hanging out in the backyard there. You know, I get a lot of questions like, what are you gonna eat? What do you eat on a trip like this? So I say you gotta really experiment when you're training to find out what works well with your body, what your stomach's gonna agree with, what's not gonna cause you gastrointestinal distress. What I settled on for this adventure here is one of the biggest staples is actually just peanut butter and jelly. I got an entire loaf of bread and made an entire loaf of bread into peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that I'm carrying with me. That I've experimented with it. It works pretty good. It doesn't tear up my stomach, sustains me, gives me energy. I don't feel bloated, and to me it still tastes good when I'm 12 hours into something. So I got mostly peanut butter and jelly. I've got some honey as well. I've got some meat sticks. I've got some of the, like a couple of Cliff Bar Z bars and some oranges. But the biggest staple I'm carrying with me out here on the trail is actually just peanut butter and jelly. For me, it works good. I would say try it out. It may not work for everybody, but for me, that's a winning combo. And then just lots of water. Carrying lots of water with me here. I got my 3-liter Camelback, and I got like another half-gallon jug in my ruck so I can top off if I need to. So carrying a good amount of water. Alright guys, made it to Rock Creek. This is a big bridge. Very steep creek down there, mostly dry right now. Got a big slab rock in the bottom, but it's giving you an idea of how dry it's been. It's a long ways down, but the creek looks like it's about ankle deep. Look at the top of this. I don't know exactly what this is, a grain elevator or what, but there's literally a bald eagle nest up in the very top. I don't know if this how long it's been out of operation, but I see two, looks like juvenile bald eagles just hanging out up there on that perch. Wow, that's something neat to see. Hey guys, we're definitely in Amish country now. Seeing some Amish homes we've went past. So we'll see, we'll probably see some buggies up here before too much longer. But if there's any doubt, here's the sign on the side of the road. If you don't live in Pennsylvania or somewhere in Ohio, you probably haven't seen that before. But it's a sign warning for Amish buggies. So. Hi. Hello. I stopped in Orwell here to refill on water. I just ran out of water. Stopped at the Valley Variety Discount Grocery, which is one of the Amish salvage grocery stores, pretty popular around here. It's got 2 jugs of water, $1.50 a piece, certainly reasonable. I'm probably somewhere between 15 and 20 miles out, give or take right now. I just stopped again to kind of change out some stuff so I'm not chafing too bad, make sure I'm eating and drinking water while I go. And you know, it's kind of a fine line of how hard I want to push right now, because I'm starting to feel some wear and tear on my feet, things like that. So I'm just doing my best to keep them dry, not pushing too fast, not running too much, because knowing that I have to do the same thing again tomorrow, almost identical mileage, a little more road mileage, less on a trail like this. But it's a fine line, because every extra minute I'm out here today rucking, that's a minute that I'm not resting, getting ready for tomorrow. So it's a delicate balancing act of wanting to make sure I can get to where I'm going to stay for the night so I can get adequate rest and get ready for tomorrow, but not pushing it too hard that my feet are just cooked when I get up and got to do another 45-ish mile day tomorrow. Yeah, it took too long of a break a little while back there. Been sweating the entire day, completely soaked. And all of a sudden, my stomach was bothering me a little bit, so I figured I would sit for a little bit more. Then all of a sudden, like I just got the chills, like felt like I was freezing to death. So I just had to throw my jacket on. It's still probably in the mid 70s. Temperature dropped a little bit, but it's, yeah, just got to keep moving. Here's what you get in Warren. Abandoned apartment complex. Looks like it's walled off. Packard building. It's common of a lot of what you see here. Not the best looking town. When I get my supplies that I need in the morning, and get out of here as fast as I can. But yeah, just be warned if you want to follow the route I am. Don't look like the safest place to be. And we're off. Stepping off day 2 from Warren, Ohio. Starting about 7 in the morning. Got a little bit later start today because I wanted to have some breakfast. The continental breakfast didn't open until 6:30. I waited for that. Not sure how much that's going to help me. My stomach's still not feeling great. I know I need calories, but wasn't really interested in eating anything. Ate like one egg and then just kind of didn't feel right, and stocked up on some other supplies, a little bit of fruit, some cereal. Should be easy to digest when I get going. Drank some coffee and got some whole milk. You know, surprisingly, I was really surprised by this. I assumed milk would be bad for my stomach and make me sick when I'm doing this type of stuff, but actually it feels pretty good. I've tried chocolate milk and whole milk. They didn't have chocolate milk here today, so I just got regular milk and gave that a go. We got about 44.5 miles to our next stop, so it's going to be another full day of walking out here. Much rather be out here in the morning than last night. This turns into a pretty sketchy place at night, and it's not that big of a city, but it looks like it's big enough to have all the problems you get with city life. Walking through Niles, Ohio right now, the home place or birthplace of President William McKinley. If you look over here, that's the William McKinley Monument here in Niles. Oh, look at this. I think we're gonna cross the street here. This old house over here is actually the birthplace of President William McKinley. A minute ago we went by the monument. Let's check out the house. I've been to the monument before, but I've never seen the house. Looks like maybe it's closed. We got a lot of miles to go anyways, but here is the birthplace of President William McKinley. Here we've got an iron statue made out of iron, of an iron worker, the Niles Iron and Metal Company. Now entering Mahoning County and leaving Trumbull County. County line. So running low on water here, needed to refill in town in Canfield here. I couldn't find like a gas station by a jug of water, so I just stopped in Dairy Queen. They let me fill up my water and got a Snickers Blizzard for some extra fuel out here on the trail. It was a good morale boost stopping out here in Canfield for some Dairy Queen. Gonna keep on moving. Canfield is completely different from what I experienced in Warren. Here, I mean, it looks really nice. There's a nice town square. You can walk through. Lawns are well maintained. It's got good sidewalks. When I was in Warren, walking out of there, like there was, you know, knee-high grass everywhere, just trash thrown everywhere, all over the ground, abandoned buildings, abandoned factories. It looked like a bunch of like extras from The Walking Dead just shuffling around in different parts of the city. Totally not like that in Canfield. So just goes to show you can't really paint a broad brush on specific areas as you go through, or even a few miles in one direction or the other, and one town over or another can be starkly different. It's something you really pick up on when you're moving at a human pace. Something that's easy to miss if you're just driving through. But just my observations. An old steam engine here at the Canfield Fairgrounds. Hey guys, here I am in an Uber. Had to cut it short today. Had to make the call about 20 miles short. So shortcutted the route. I still think tomorrow I can make it down to the river. So I was doing the math on the pace I was keeping, and I kept slowing down. The heat was wearing me down, and just the cumulative miles was wearing me down. My pace, I wasn't going to make it there till a little after 3 in the morning. My feet are wrecked, my legs are wrecked. So rather than turn it into a death march, I decided to cut it short with an Uber here to do the last 5 miles down to the river with a little bit of rest, and refit tonight and just kind of rest my legs and my feet for a little bit, and then we'll finish it from there. So it's a pretty ambitious goal to try to make it across the entire state in only 2 days. Probably should have planned to have at least 3 full days to make it across, but unless we push hard like this, we really never know where the limit is. So my body and my feet just weren't ready for 2 45 plus mile days of rucking out here. So that's where we are. In the morning, we'll make the final march down to the river. About 5:40 in the morning, making our final push down to the river. Leaving Calcutta, headed down to the river in East Liverpool. It's about 4.3 miles away. Feet are very tender, legs are very tight. So I'm not moving fast, but I am still moving. Just got to keep going, one foot in front of the next. Each step is forward progress. Once we make it to the river, it's another 4.1 miles to pick up my rental car so I can get back home. That'll be it, so let's get after it. Got the Museum of Ceramics here in East Liverpool, Ohio. Looks like they're closed now, so I'll have to save a visit to the Museum of Ceramics for another day.
On the morning of July 9th, 2026, in the year of our Lord, I reached the Ohio River. People always ask me, why would you do something like this? Well, there's three main reasons. One, it was a great opportunity to support all American Rucks so they can continue to help our local veterans and give back to the veteran community. Two, it's a big challenge. We never truly know how far we can go unless we're willing to push ourselves to the limit and then keep going. Three, this is really more than a personal challenge. It's about appreciating what's around us locally and finding adventure in overlooked places. This is not an adventure in some exotic location. Anyone can do something like this, and planning your own route is half the fun. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you out on the trail.